Anyway, all right. So in just one more month will be mid-year, and that will be June. But this is May. This is the very first day in the month of May, and we are grateful how far God has brought all of us. It was as if it was yesterday that we had, remember that 31st night that we even had some members of the church in the UK join us, and we prayed, and it was midnight, and it was January 1st, and a lot has happened through the months of January, February, March, and April, and we are still here. And so we give God the glory for everything. A big thank you to everyone who made last Sunday great for the Thanksgiving. We are happy for the life of Mr. and Mrs. Chukuma, just awesome. And just 25 years, like they say, it's not a joke. And many people do not know Chukuma, Emmanuel Chukuma is actually my in-law, and in a way, and it's great to just have all of you. And earlier today, some of us here, I can see your faces already from the icons. We were there to celebrate with our dear brother, Mr. Godwin Onhara. It's like time flies. Who could believe that our brother Godwin is 60, just 60? And I think when we're here, there's a joke that some older women normally do, which the men are not too fired up about. And I'm going to tell you what. So today, one of the older women from away told our brother that they are waiting for him for an induction into the Abraham Fathers Group. And they don't know that men don't really get old. Even if we're 100, man, we are still young. And that's why they sing that song, Bobo no go die unless Toba Darubo. And Bobo no the Darubo as it is. So we're going to remain young forever and ever and ever, as long as God continues to give us, the strength. So we're there with our brother Godwin this morning. It was a very good crowd. Thank you to all the people who made it happen, both from the Keja region and also from the Ojodu Isheri Mowe ministry. We had people come from the islands, from Ojapapa, I think the only region that was not represented was probably Oshodi-Sola. I don't know. For some reason we have people like we call them I branch Mubomoya from campus, Shomolu Mushi. People came from Shomolu Mushi. It was really good. I really thank God for that. And just as we're celebrating, I had to remind some brothers that today is also our dear brother Okpe Babalola. You guys remember him? He used to be our administrator here in the church for several years, especially during the time that our brother Michi Ogwaya was in the church. And who could believe also that Mr. Okpe Babalola today is 61? It's amazing, 61. And I'm sure a lot of people are celebrating. Now today happens to also be the spiritual birthday, I know he's here listening, of our dear brother and Abio George, Mr. Abio George. And this month is also my spiritual birthday. I will be, how many years again? I'll be 32 years as a disciple. And so it's just celebration. I will pray that celebration will not finish in our lives, that will continue to have reasons to celebrate in every situation. The Bible says we should give thanks. If one part is honored, we all rejoice. If one part hurts, we also mourn. We do them. I don't know if the if our brother Frank Honora, if they are back. I know that they had an episode on their way back. They had an episode, with their car. I'm told, I've not confirmed. I'm told, but thank God that we are all in one piece, and thank God also for the rains yesterday. The rain came almost at the right time. The weather has been very, very hot. You all will believe. I just finished a semester teaching another semester of another school, which is the Ministry Training Academy. And it was interesting. People from Gambia, from Liberia, from Ghana, they were all lamenting the heat. Like the heat is horrendous. And I said, wow, we need to really continue to pray for God to give us the well-to-do, to weather the weather, if you know what I mean. So today, we are going to be continuing in the second half of the introduction the second half of the introduction.
Very correct.
Okay, I had to mute the usher there. We're going to continue with the second half of the introduction that we began on Sunday. And remember, I gave you guys a cool assignment. I hope you guys are here with the assignment. If you are prepared, even if you just won, just type in a yes there. Even if you just won. Me, I have one. So I'm also going to put a yes. Even if you just won, just type in a yes if you are ready. Okay. All right, cool. Mr. Sonia says yes. Who else again is ready? Now, I need to make a clarification what I said. And thank you to, I think, a brother, I can't remember who again, who called, I think it was Baba the Chair, that called my attention to that. And I really appreciate that. Please be looking out, to make sure that everything, I'm always on the point. So I didn't clarify that there were two things actually that I projected on Sunday, but I did not clarify it, my fault. Now, I know we're talking about parables, but choose that every example I gave was actually a proverb. Okay, they are both P words, a proverb and a parable. They are very, very similar. The only thing is that proverbs are very short. Proverbs are just one-liner, short saying, wise saying, but parables are stories. They are longer stories. So if you have received the copy of the teaching guide that we're going to use, just basic teaching guide, I'm sure you guys already have it. Let me see if I can just quickly project what I have here. So I'll just show you guys something for clarification. It's very, very good for us to always constantly clarify. Okay, let me do this. All right, so okay. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, I think this should work. Now, everybody should have this. I've posted it. Everybody should have I posted it like yesterday or so. Let me drag this away so that doesn't. All right. Now, so somebody might ask, I thought, didn't Jesus Christ, didn't he have more than 24? There are actually 24 parables that I outlined here. The number one is just the introduction. That's the purpose of the parable. So we have the parable of the sower, the weed, the mustard seed, the leaven, which is the yeast, the hidden treasure, a pearl of great value or pearl of great price, the parable of the nets, the parable of the lost sheep, the parable of the unforgiving servant, the parable of the two sons. That is one that says, I will do it, and I didn't do it. And the one said, I will not do it, and went to go and do it, okay? The two sons. Please don't confuse it with the parable of the prodigal son or the lost son. Then the parable of the tenants, the parable of the wedding feast, parable, which is something that some of us looked at during our first century service 2 Sundays ago. The parable of the 10 virgins, very popular one. Parable of the talent, parable of the good Samaritan, the rich fool, the barren fig tree, and the wedding feast, the lost coin, the prodigal son, the dishonest manager, the rich man, and Lazarus, which is probably the most popular of Jesus' parable. Parable of the persistent widow, very, very popular also. And in terms of that woman just begging, the king. Then, of course, the Pharisees and the tax collector. Now, when you read the Bible, there might be a bit of hesitation. You might want to call some things parable that are not parable, and there might be more. So what I have done, I had to create this list of whatever. So you're able to see the parables in Matthew. These are the parables in Matthew. The parables in Mark. Mark has a list of parables. Then Luke has a lot. You'll notice that there is no John. So there are no parables in the book of John. The book of John does not have any parable whatsoever. Now, another thing I also wanted to share is, let me see if I can scroll down. Now, you all have this. Those ones in green are ones that are not literally, they are not parables. For example, you are the light of the world, the lamp, whatever. It's a wise saying, but it's not a full story that can make it to become a full parable. So we're not studying that in our sermon, but you also need to go and read them. I think we'll give you some whatever, a city hidden on a hill will not be it cannot be hidden. Then of course the speck and the log, taking the speck out of your eyes, where the log, those are wise, saying. They have some element of parables, to them, but we are not just considering them. We are keeping it to just 24. Another one is the old garments, the clothes, the old garments and the new garments. The divided kingdom, all found in the book of Matthew. Then the heart of a man, the body, fig tree, the faithful versus the wicked servants. Then we go down to the book of Mark. We're going to see the similar parable also. Similar parable, the clothes and old garment, divided kingdom, the heart of a man, the body, fig tree, the faithful, and wicked servant. Now, I'm going to say something quickly in the book of Mark. Now, it does seem, when you read the book of Mark, scholars have come to a consensus that the book of Mark was the first one to be written, was the first gospel to be written. And Mark is the same John Mark. And John Mark happens to be like a secretary, or he used to take notes when Peter preaches his sermon. So he used to take notes. And many believe that this is notes that he took. Now, if you look at the book of Mark, everything is in a hurry. You see things like immediately they went. You will see he was writing it fast. So I want to assume that after Mark had done this wonderful job, the words of Peter, that story about Jesus, then Matthew, probably saw it and said, this is interesting. You know what? I'm going to expand. I mean, I was there when this thing happened. Let me expand it. And that's why you see some portion of Mark and Matthew, you will see they copied from the same source. And you might want to mute those who are co-hosts. Can you please help so that people co-host, please co-host. Thank you. And
just bring Akara. It doesn't matter. You don't mind.
I'm playing on Saturday. I brought the Akara to this place. Just sit down with this place to see whenever we are going to the man.
Is that Mike's voice I'm hearing? Do you mind mute your mic if that's his mic? All right. And I also want to encourage our co-hosts. Please make Dodotun also a co-host so that it can help control. I mean, that's why we have ushers and air hostess and everything in a meeting. So just control. I'm sure nobody's doing it deliberately, but stuff do happen. But anyway, what was I saying again? So when you read the book of Mark, it does seem like, wait a minute, there's some almost word for word. In some places, like word for word, word for word, word for word. So it is clear. The person who writes more, obviously, is the one who used a source. I don't have time today to teach you what they call the source, the Q, the M, the Q, the J, and everything. That's actually how they're able to. It's a hypothesis of how the collection and arrangements and all the source of this story. Obviously, the earliest source was oral. Oral, the story of Jesus had gone around, people were telling, but before it was written down, it was basically oral. And the person that you can bet that really did a very good research was Mark. Was Luke, and our dear brother Dr. Luke, who was kind of a historian. And even in his book, he's the one that said many have undertaken to write up an account of things that have been fulfilled. And he also talked about he has investigated all these things from beginning, and he was writing a more orderly account. So it's kind of, and he puts history in perspective, and that was where you will see things, during the reign of Augustus Caesar, during the reign of Claudio, so it was he that actually helped us to date the gospel, so we know exactly when those things happen. Of course, these three gospels, because of the similarity of these three gospels, they are called the synoptic gospel. Synoptic gospel, that's what they are called. They are very similar They are very in nature. The only gospel that is not synoptic is the Gospel of John. That just there was no nativity scene. There was no. We just say in the beginning, boom, was the word. The word was with God. So he didn't follow the historical pattern that all other gospels had. So that's the book of Mark. So you see similar parables in the book of Mark that you find in the book of John. Then you will see some that are exclusive to the book of Luke. For example, the parable of the friend at midnight. Only Luke has that. Just like John says that if we're to write all these things that Jesus Christ did, I guess no book, we have them. So the Good Samaritan is only found in the book of Luke. The rich fool is only found in the book of Luke. The barren fig tree in the book of Luke. The wedding, whatever, very, very peculiar, to those, to that book. So we look at a parable being a story. It's a story that is told to explore or to expose some spiritual meaning. It's a story. When you say parables, they have to be something that has to do with spiritual meaning. Now, of course, we grew up, telling stories like Tales by Moonlight. I think that that one is very popular amongst both the young and the old. Whether you are a Gen Z, Gen Zs probably will not know what I'm talking about. At least with the millennials, with the and Gen X and millennial, they were not very, very popular. Maybe some of the Gen Zs also, you must have stumbled over Tales by Moonlight. They always have a theme at the end of the day. There's something they are trying to say. They are trying to pass a message. The message is hidden within it. It's to make you think. It's to make you consider your ways. It sometimes can be very flowery. So whether it's the what they call the Tales by Moonlight, or let me see how many old people we have here. How many of you remember Tip Top Band? Kunu Kunu. When Nigeria used to have what they call them, puppet show, like Muppet show. Nigeria actually had their own. If you remember Kunu Kunu and the Tip Top Band, oh man, just put me a yes, man. Let me see how many old people we have here. Or people that can remember. They were all these puppets are dolls that have string. And it was great in those days. NTA was doing all of those stuff. Nobody has put a yes already. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to see that. Absolutely. Tip Top Band. And those were the days of the guy just died not long ago, by the way. Uncle Jimmy Sholanke. He just died not long. In fact, we celebrated him in our jazz society, and he's such a good storyteller. I mean, Enio, AGB, Then we had a Yoruba version that the guy would tell a story, and they will now act out the story. Let me see if somebody knows it. It happens usually on Sunday, late afternoon, evening. This guy is always telling story in a neighborhood. And as he tells the story, they will not show you the acting of the story. Let me see if somebody will know that. And most of them, Feyi Kogmo, exactly. Even the name will tell you that he knows the name. Olomoyoyo. Feyi Kogmo. I will use this one to learn sense. This is like, So all those things were there, to teach us and to learn. Even Walt Disney. I mean, classical Walt Disney. I don't know what they're doing these days, but classical Walt Disney. It's actually also stories that are really to teach us. And most of the stories, you can actually tell how it will end that evil will always fight against good, but at the end of the day, good will always prevail. In every of those Walt Disney story, whether it's Snow White and Little Dwarf, whether it's Shrek, whether it's all of them, truth and good will always prevail. Now, in the case of Jesus, he told those stories to expose heavenly mysteries. That's what it was, not just to tell us about good and bad only, but to explore heavenly mysteries. And one of the major things there is the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. They're actually the same. They're just used interchangeably. Now, let's go to short, wise saying. Who can help us as short, wise saying? They are not completely parable because they are not stories, but they are short, wise saying. That it could be a sentence that actually reveal wisdom. When I teach in the School of Mission, one of the courses that I teach is the wisdom literatures. The wisdom literatures, meaning Job, Songs of Songs, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. Those are the 4 wisdom literatures you have in the Bible. And they are to teach us some deep truths. And they're usually short things that are said. So let us see how many of us that can deliver to us today some wise saying that if we think about it, we can learn some things from it. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to Feyi Kogmo. All right, so who wants to go? There are 2 ways you can do it. You can unmute your mic and tell us. It could be in any language, say it in language, then you now explain to us what that means. Okay, what are the proverbial statements? I'll give you one I just got. You are the light of the world. Does that mean that I'm glowing? No. It means that I should bring, or you are the salt of the earth. That means as a person, I must season my environment. I'm also a protector. I can ward off bad things. I'm a preservative. I'm all those things that salt does. So it's not human salt in whatever, in practical sense, but it's in a proverbial sense, or in that way. So we are all should be salting one another, not insults. We should salt one another. Bible says we should. All right. So who wants to go? Somebody's already unmuted. So if you want to go, let me see your hand up. Okay. Let's hear Susan. But let's hear some wisdom all the way from Edo State. Susan, you've got the mic. Is that Susan or Susan's phone?
Susan's
you can type yours out.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, this is John Kenneth, because we're using one phone in the house so that to avoid echo.
Okay.
Okay, one of the idioms I want to give, I will give it in our Igbo dialect, and may also try to give a similar interpretation. May not be exact because interpretation differs from perceptions. Well, number one of the idiom in Igbo language says, "Ihikonkwo kamani kenku mana mad." That is when you harvest palm fruits.
Wait. Don't before you explain it, tell it.
Okay, you're running again.
Just let it literally. What does it say before you now tell us the meaning? So because
okay,
so that people can understand that it's not the same thing you just said, that the meaning is not the same, but you have to understand the meaning. So let's do that again.
Ihikonkwo kamani kenku manokahe mana mad. Literally saying that harvesting of palm fronds and making them in a heap is better than in palm frond harvest, than in human beings putting them together.
Say that again, please. No, I want people to understand before we not No, say it in English. Uncle, I know it's palm.
I said, okay, I should say it in Igbo or in English?
In English, say it literally in English before we not go to interpretation.
Literally in English, it means that heaping of palm frond harvest is better in heaps than in heaping wrongs or unattended issues together.
Okay, so now explain that wise saying. Now, how do you explain it?
The wise saying is that whenever there are wrongs done, don't heap them, don't keep them. Deal with it serially and at the right time, so that it does not lead to more conflicts or issues.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you very much. So you can see when they are speaking and they are using those proverbs or those wise saying, it makes you to go and think. So what does palm fruit or palm kernel or palm whatever has to do with this? Okay. Excellent. So let us have Benro. Let's have Benro. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, sorry. I'm used to physical music.
Okay. Am I heard? Okay. My own is also in Yoruba language. Irinisi ni soni lojo. I repeat. Irinisi ni soni lojo. Okay. It's let me explain literally before I say the meaning. Irinisi is how you are seen, but it could also mean how you are perceived, how I see you. Okay, how I see you is the way I will stone you. Ojo means oko, stone in Yoruba. You know, so how I see you, or okay, let me put it more literally in a clearer form. How you appear to me is how I stone you. How you appear to me is how I will stone you. So the Yoruba use that proverb whenever they want to help someone to present themselves well, maybe in dressing, in attitude, in character. That how you present yourself to me is how I will perceive you. Okay? How you present yourself to me is how I will perceive you. But not necessarily that they want to stone you when they see you. Is how you present to me, that's how I will accept you. You know, so that's the meaning actually.
All right. Thank you so much. So you can see, so from this short wise saying, you can see if it now becomes a story, you can see it even becomes more difficult to untangle. So from wise saying or proverbs or short saying, when you now give a story, and Jesus was making those stories up. Okay, you begin to make up stories to now teach some deeper things. It's going to make you say, no, this story is interesting, but what does it mean? So that's what parable is. I remember I was having a talk with a disciple from Ivory Coast. We met at a conference. So we are discussing, and there was one proverb he said in his language, and he now explained to me. You know what he said? He said, when a blind man is threatening to stone you, know for sure that he already has a stone in his hands. I said, what does it mean? He said, anybody that wants to do whatever, they already plan is. People don't just say they want to do something when they don't have a plan. That's what it means. So when a blind person is threatening to stone you, it's not that time he's going to be looking for the stone. He already has the stone in his hand. So those are the wise saying. So from understanding what proverbs are or wise saying, you can now begin to understand parables. Parables are stories, but the focus of parables are to reveal earthly, just can use to reveal earthly mysteries. Now, one of the popular parables we have in the Old Testament, if I'm not mistaken, it will be, I think, in the book of Judges, chapter 8. Again, I'm not sure. If somebody can verify, that would be great. I think it was Judges chapter 8. And in Judges chapter 8, that was, I think, during the time of the Gideon and the rest of the people. So they wanted to appoint a king. And this guy now came, they were going to appoint the wrong king. And he came and he told them a story. He said the trees in the forest wanted to appoint a king. Then they went to the olive. I said, Olive, come and be our king. And olive tree said, will I now, live by my oil, which kings and princes and gods are used to serve God, to come and lay sway over the king. He said, I can't do it. He now went to the timber in Lebanon, to the big tree. He said, should I not give up my tree, my plank and everything to come and lay? They couldn't find it. He now went to the the briars, the chukuchuku, as we call it here, the thorn. He now said, well, I'm going to be your king. So that story was told. Let them know that they chose the wrong person. And because of that, whatever they will see in those thorn, the thorn bush will now come and begin to infest them. So that's also how those stories are. But if you hear that story without even the background information, you won't be able to relate it to anything. Now, if you have the background information and still hear that story, you have to go and think to say, is this talking about me? So that is how those parables were meant to make people think. So I'm going to go straight and look at the chart. The chart has been quite busy. And okay, Stella, please, you have to come and say this. This one is in Igbo language. Oh yeah, Stella, Emeka, Madam Emeka, come and say this one.
Okay, so evening, brothers and sisters. All right, so the first one, ihe onye kama ejile ụwa akọ ya ọnụ, ọ dịghị onye ma echi ụwa na-eme ntụgharị. Translates to mean that, when you see someone that that seemingly you are better than, it says, do not make a mockery. Ejile ụwa. If I'm to translate it transliterally, it means don't use the world to make fun of the person. No one knows tomorrow because the world turns around. The world turns around. So in a nutshell, do not make fun of someone that you seem to be better than today because things may change tomorrow. Then the last one says, Amaracham ihe ụwa imana ojiri ekete kuru mmiri. So Amaracham ihe ụwa ojiri ekete kuru mmiri. That is, someone's always in a position of, oh, I am too wise. All right. Amaracha, that's I know all things. I too know. You say, do you know that kind of person fetches water with baskets? So that means, really, where is the wisdom? Because you don't want to learn. So really, yeah. I hope it makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does. And, so the Igbos, for example, is something like Ilu or Ilulu. They want to give you a parable. And sometimes those two words can be confusing. Proverb and a parable. Sometimes we'll say emato. So again, you have to be in context. So somebody asked a question that do we I think a lot of things have gone. That was Mr. Nolefu. What is it? Does Nathan's story to David qualify as a parable? Well, okay, it's Nathan's story about once upon a time. That's actually a parable. Now, but when we say parable, we want to look at what Jesus was doing because of his own whatever. Yes, that was also a parable. So let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a man, who had his friend. He came to visit, blah, blah, blah. He took the guy's only lamb, the other one, and killed. Okay. So that's also how to pass. So David didn't know it was about him. David didn't know it was about him. So that was how people talked in those days. Even in our culture, like I said, those stories that we tell about the tortoise and the hare and whatever, they all have idioms within them. They all have deep meaning that you have to think to find out. And when they are talking and they are saying those things, you need to know. For example, they will say things like so okay, let me just say it in English so that we don't have to go back and forth. They said the person that I want to say literally. He said the person that people are laughing at because of the torn clothes he's wearing, it's not him they're laughing at his entire family. So they tell that to children to go and say, please don't go and disgrace us. Whatever you do outside affects everyone. Sometimes they will say something like now imi is to take like a water in a cup, and it will do boom when so ile. So when you are drinking from a clay pot, which is how people used to drink for a long time in my village, and in the northern part people still use clay pot today. After when it now gets to the base, you now hear the scratch, which is onomatopoeia, right? You now hear a scratch. So whatever you are taking, I are hearing doom, doom. One day you hear crap, so they use that also as a wise saying. So in all these things, you find out that there are things that are said and they are to make you think. So as we prepare ourselves to begin to dive into the parables, remember, they are not just face value. Okay, one, you can't take them as face value. They have deeper meaning. at the same time, it's not every single part of it that speaks to what the sayer or the person saying it has, but it might just be a portion. All right. Let me also go back to the chat room and say, okay, okay, the Dotun posted cattle, blah blah blah. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah, okay, that was the rebuke of Nathan, prophet Nathan. So he told him a parable. They are deep saying stories. But with Jesus, remember, his own is to conceal and to reveal the kingdom. Okay, their own was to expose, and it's very good, really, when you use parable. For example, if Nathan had gone to the king to, like we normally say, challenge him to his face, rebuke him, he'll be in trouble. So when you go to people that you cannot predict the way they will respond, it's always good to go with a parable, to go with a story. Don't say, oh, I have a solution. Please, so and so happen here and here and here. If it were you, what will you do? Oh, the Bible is okay, I will do ABCD. Wow, that's interesting. You know what? Could that be what you are doing? So you could use that method to somebody that you are not, either the person is higher than you or lower than you. Higher than you, you don't know how they're going to respond. Lower than you, you don't know if they will get the story. And also, if you are talking amongst people and you don't want somebody else, all of us would do it. If you think, and you don't want somebody who just find their way there to know, you will switch. It's called coded language. You begin to code. Okay. How many of you code when you don't want the next person to hear? Type in a yes. Let me know. I code. A lot of you do it when you're talking and your children come. You begin to code. It is for the person who doesn't know, it's going to be a mystery. For the person who knows, it's going to be a revelation. That person, so that is what parables are, do. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to throw it open. I code too, yes. So everybody they code though. If I even don't know how to code, go and learn how to code though. Go and learn how to code. Revelation is coded message. How can you go and write a letter and tell the whole world that the emperor Caesar, something's going to happen to Caesar? What they got? So they use words, numbers, illustration. They use colors. The beast, the dragon. Of course, dragon is Satan himself. The beast is the Roman Empire. The beast has several heads and whatever. Those are the kings that will come. One of them was killed, yet was alive. That is the one that was killed, and he came back. And that was his policies were reenacted. So when disciples are reading it, they will understand what was being said, and that was why Jesus will say, "Let him calculate." That's the number of a man. Those who are wise, let them calculate. They will know. In the same way, if you read things like Mark 13, Matthew 24, the destruction of Jerusalem, the law of coded language also Jesus Christ used. He said, he said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by the armies, then you know the desolation is here. Because so he said, when the abomination that causes desolation is enthroned. What does that mean? He said, go and read the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 6, 7, and 9. Go and read Daniel. You will know that the solution is there. Then in Mark, Jesus now explained even more. He said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you know the end has come. It's not the end of the world. So if you only read it, you think, oh, talking about the end of the world. It's talking about the end of the Jewish state and how. And he said, those people who are on top of their roof don't go down. Or what does that mean? Those who are in the field don't come back home. The way the Jewish homes are built, they build it together. There's no like friends dividing another person. They build together. Another place they do that is in Benin Republic. If you go to Benin, they build all the houses together. If you go to Abidjan, French people build all the houses together. So you don't really have a wall. That sometimes, like this, a wall here. This wall might be somebody else's house. I keep wondering, can people just break in and they go to right also? So they build together. People that live in earthquake zone also build houses like that. Then at the top, it's always flat. They deck it. So that is where you go and take breeze, like we normally say. That's where you go and spread your millets, you spread your clothes, whatever. So if you're on top of the wall, don't go down. You can jump. You can actually run house to house until you go to the wall, the city wall. Then you now escape. And those who are in the field don't come back home because the solution had come. And that happened when Titus, sieged Jerusalem. And of course, history has it. If you look at the book of Flavius Josephus, Prophet Joshua wrote that it's as if the Christian had intel. They had an info. So the Christian, they ran to a place called, Pella. A hill called Pella. That was where the Christians, when at least those who have ear to hear, they escaped because there was an opening. When the emperor died, his son had to stop. The siege. The son got the news that his father has died. So he had to stop the siege to run back to Rome so I can go and be crowned. That was the opening that he had. And Jesus Christ said, when that opening comes, you will know that is the time to run. So those are the ways that you can hide information, and you can also cause people who ordinarily they don't want to think. You can make them think. So only those who are ready to think will actually go and find the meaning. So I'm going to pause for a little while. Let's have some Q&A. Do you have any question you want to ask? Either based on what we talked about on Sunday, or based on maybe some revelation that just come to you, like boom, I just thought about something. This is where we can ask. Again, you can unmute your mic to ask a question, or you might want to just type about there. I can see the question, because I can see a question mark at the end. You say, how about our folk stories? Do they qualify as parables? Some stars is like, yeah, that's what we're saying. The parables are stories. The word parable is to put side by side. It's a story that you put beside another, truth or another incident to either reveal deeper thing or to conceal. That is why, to reveal or to conceal. Now, when we talk about specifically Jesus' parable, they were there to reveal the kingdom of God to those who are willing, those who want to think, and to conceal from those who don't want to. Because he was speaking plainly. If by the time we start reading the parable, you see Jesus was speaking plainly to them until they were not understanding. So he now switched to parable. That is, whoever has an ear, let him hear what the what the Spirit is saying. And that was why the disciples now went to him and said, "Why are you not speaking? You can notice that you'll be speaking parables." Then they explained to them why. Let's have Bero at this time with this question.
Thank you, Uncle. Yes, I wanted to ask the story of the Samaritan that was what's it called? That was attacked, and the priest that passed and all that. That is the Samaritan that was it Samaritan? No. Yes, I think I'm mixing it. I think it was Samaritan that was attacked on his way to traveling.
No.
Okay, the person that helped was thank you, Oni.
Yeah.
The helper is the Samaritan. Okay. Stories like that, and that one particularly, did they really happen? What is the purpose of those stories? Are they parables too? What was Jesus trying to achieve?
Yes, thank you for that. The parable is a parable. Okay. They didn't happen. Those stories didn't happen. Because you cannot find somebody. Usually, parables do not bear names of anybody. And that is why, just to give for free. That's why some people have some arguments about Lazarus and the rich man. So like that's the only parable that Jesus will put a name. He had Lazarus, will put a name, even though the rich man is just a rich man. But Father Abraham, is it a parable? It's not a parable. They are stories. Okay. Now, that's why you can't take it further than the person telling the story wants you to take it. Now, it is good. It's interesting that you mentioned the parable of what we call the Good Samaritan or the Samaritan. The Bible never called him Good Samaritan. We saw that said, okay, this guy is good. Because it was born out of a question that somebody asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? They lost a lot of neighbors. Say, my neighbor. And I said, I'll tell you a story. Once upon a time. Please, you might want to mute if you're not unmuted. Jesus Christ said, once upon a time, a certain man was walking. Now, I have traveled that road a few times, Jericho to Jerusalem. Listen, Jericho is situated, part of the Dead Sea. It's about 1,000 feet below sea level. That's actually the deepest place, the Dead Sea, the deepest place in the face of the earth. So when you're traveling, in fact, you know that something is happening. When you're driving, if you come from Jerusalem, you know that your vehicle is just going around the mountain and you're just going down, and you're looking at where you're going. If you're climbing up, your vehicle has to be strong. So because of the narrow path, a lot of armed robbers, it was notorious. It's like saying under the bridge in Once Upon a Time Oshodi or even Anthony. under the bridge here, or even Otedola Bridge, there are flash points in Lagos. They will tell, and that's why what the government do, government now put lights all over those places. They have to lit those places. And recently, the Federal Ministry of Environment has gone to, I didn't even know, people were living under the bridge, connecting, what do you call it, connecting Akmogbo, not Akmogbo, connecting Obalende to Dolphin, from that Dolphin. People like house, the bridge is there. People just build whatever, sit up, put door, put window, whatever, have shelf, everything inside. It's amazing. I mean, I felt sad also, when I saw the pictures that they broke what I mean, people are in need, I mean, for our people to get to that level where they are converting, bridges to apartments and putting lights. You even see antenna, they have generator, they have sometimes they will connect from the street lights. That's the way they do. They connect from the street lights, pass wire, and they'll be enjoying their themselves. Now, going back to that, so the story of the Samaritan, think about it. Now, today we read it and we're like, that story, the kind of story that people want to carry stone and kill, kill Jesus. If you know the import of that story. Now, he talked about a priest. Can you imagine a priest, a Levite, a priest? Now you can come and say, oh, why did the priest, cross the other side? Maybe he crossed the other side because he didn't want to be contaminated. Maybe he crossed the other side because it was in hurry. Listen, he didn't nothing because it's a story. No, it's just a story. So it was not a real human being. So don't go and start building things and you not drift away. What do you think that story is all about? Who is my neighbor? When I ask them, say, who amongst these people is his neighbor? They were like, well, I guess it's the man who stopped. They didn't want to mention his name, like a Samaritan. Is the man who stopped to help. Exactly. Think about it. Are there outcasts today that are probably doing better acts of righteousness than us? I mean, you say, oh, I'm a disciple, I'm an evangelist, I'm a teacher, I'm whatever. You know how the outcome, someone they hate the most. So who is the one that everybody hates the most? They don't even, if a Samaritan is walking on this road, a Jew will cross the other side. They don't even want to get close to Samaritan. They don't even stop over in their place. The only food, unless you are dying, the only food you can buy is something you can wash, like tangerine, like I mentioned, tangerine, banana. You wash it first to wash off the sin of the Samaritan. Then you peel it. You can only eat the inside. You don't talk to them. You don't associate with them. Can you imagine those became the some of the heroes of Jesus' story? What was Jesus trying to do? So you look at the big picture. He's trying to unite. Like, look at it. Even Peter, almost 10 years or so afterwards, oh, I've not touched anything impure and and unclean. He was trying to break that dichotomy. Now you can find reasons and small stories around it. Oh, he did this one. Oh, that guy must be doing what? No, the big deal is that just I say that, listen, look at it. God is willing to accept everyone. So you too, you must accept everyone. In fact, the people you are not accepting might even be better than you. And and we see that clearly in the book of Romans. I see Romans 2 or 3 that talks about if somebody who doesn't know the law, but by nature is doing things that has to do with the law, won't he come and condemn you? Even though you have the law, you become a law breaker. He says circumcision has no value if you don't obey the law. And somebody said that baptism has very little value or no value if you are a lawbreaker. So what's the point of you saying you are a disciple? So those stories they are stories that touch the heart. So but as we study, we're going to look at what is the core message. Because you can also be drowned by all the small detail and every single thing. But the truth is that as I was saying it, people knew that the road from Jericho to whatever was a dangerous road. And robbers are always attacking the people. And this guy was beaten until he was unconscious. And again, it didn't happen. Jesus just told them a story. Okay, it's a story. It doesn't have to be something that happened. Let's take Basi Peter at this time. Basi.
Okay, this is a very exciting class. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, can dreams and visions also pass for proverbs or like for what we are talking about? You get, I want to cite the dream of Joseph. It wasn't plain. It wasn't as if God said, showed him famine and plenty. You get showed Pharaoh, I beg your pardon. I didn't God showed Pharaoh plenty, somebody enjoying, and you get, can they pass for what we're talking about? Thank you.
All right. Now, the only thing, parable is the word L-I-K-E, like. When you say like, that means you are putting it, we know with Joseph was a vision. It was a revelation. It's not a parable. Parable is when you put two things side by side to use this one to expose this. Okay, you are using this story to expose this story, or to throw more light. Now, another genre is called revelation. There revelation, there is vision, and dreams. Dreams can come in different ways. The Bible says with more worries and care comes dreams. So you can dream, because a dream can be a transfer of what is in your mind, what you are thinking about, what you are wrestling with. Like they say, a thirsty man will see an oasis. A hungry man will see food. You know what I mean? So if something dwells in you often, and it happens to me, if something dwells in my mind, whatever, so my mind, my thinking transfers it into my inner mind, and my spirit now takes it and goes on autopilot and begin to experience that. Which, for example, if you are thinking about your graduation day, or you are thinking about getting a new job, or driving a new car, whatever, and that thought becomes so I want to say obsessive thoughts, whatever, you can actually dream, and boom, and you begin to witness all those things in your dream. Now, that might not be a revelation. That is just your spirit living out your ambition, living out your ambition. But revelation is when you are shown something yet to happen. Okay, so the part of revelatory part of it. So not all visions are revelation. Some are deja vu. So some fall under the term of deja vu. Like, for example, when you are sleeping, everybody dreams every day, but only that you don't remember. You only remember maybe like 2% of your dream, really, maybe 5% most. And the way God has programmed the mind, you cannot be, God will not want you to be overtly conscious inside your dream, because then it won't be a dream anymore. Conscious, for example, when I'm sleeping, like today, I was sharing with some people, we were there at our brother's house, and celebrating with our brother Godwin O'Hara. And the kind of person I am, when I'm in a place that is quiet, I sleep off. I just sleep. I was not doing anything. I just slept. And because, again, I had late nights, counseling somebody on phone and everything, I slept off. So within my sleep, right, just in that short period, I was in a class trying to explain some things to students. And it was science. Explain something to students. So I was bringing out some science artifacts, explain to them, like geography thing or whatever. After a while, there was noise. I was like, everybody calm down. So much noise. The more I said calm down, the more the noise was going on. I didn't know that it was the noise of the environment that filtered into my dream. When I woke up, it was so loud. I was like, people were fired up. They were watching soccer and every single thing. So that was not a revelation. That was just an adventure that my spirit goes to. Now, what if what I dreamt about now happens? Now, that could be a revelation. One, a direct revelation. Or it could actually be your spirit going into your future. And that is also possible. Now, there are some things you shouldn't bother yourself about, but let me mention something called transcendent meditation. Please don't try it, okay? You can do it, but I won't advise you to do it where you just go and you now begin to get conscious. People can do it by training. There's special training that you can do that can give you some level of consciousness even in your dream. For me, I love it whenever I'm flying in my dream. But when I begin to enjoy it, I begin to get conscious. I just wake. But can you imagine if you don't wake? This is what's going to happen. Your dream might not become your reality, and you might not wake up. You want to wake up. Go. How many of you have watched Inception? Please type in a yes if you've seen Inception. I have. How many of you have seen the movie Inception? One of the after The Matrix. This is probably the most, and I love this Inception. So watch out so that your fantasy does not become your reality. After that, some people, they will not wake up. Now, I've seen situation where I'm doing therapy for someone, and I will tell them with their permission, I can put them in a frenzy situation where they will drift up and just slip off, give up and so. But I have to have an anchor. And I can tell you, how this is not done. Usually I ask them, so what's your favorite music? What music do you really like that keeps you kicking? Somebody said, oh, I like Dancing Queen, ABBA. Somebody said, for Pharrell. It must be crazy. What I'm about to say, whatever. So I go on YouTube. Most usually I do those things online. I go on YouTube, I open up music, and I play the music. So when you hear this music, please come back. Because if care is not taken, you might drift off. And you'll come back, eventually you come back, but you might begin to enjoy that state that you want to go back. It's like a drug, okay? It's like a drug. You might want to continue to stay in that dream world that you are not doing anything for your physical world. Yes, going to the dream world, whatever, but you need to come back. It is here that the work is done. So people themselves, people who, sometimes people say, okay, oh, I want you to come and help me do this one. Therapists who are smart will say, sorry, I will not do it. Because it's actually called hacking. Now, it is just that you have ethical hacking. You also have ethical hypnosis. It's called, some people get used to it. It's like a drug. Oh, doctor, give me. And they will begin to put themselves into it. So some people go on YouTube and they will download or whatever. And please don't do it, okay? I have a friend of mine who did that. And we're all together sharing. And she shared how her body just left her. And she knew she was going. And she was in the room. There's not that she just came back again. Say, please don't do it. Because you might open a portal. It's called a portal. You might open a portal for some bad things to come into your life. Some demons, spirits can actually take control of you. So these are the things that we need to discuss. So you need to be aware of some of those things so that, what are we talking about that took me to all these things? Anyway, it was a question, somebody asked. And, so the stories that we tell, the folklores that we tell, everything like that are to review. But please don't go beyond where you're supposed to go. And that's why teachers, our job is huge. Our job is really, really, it's like life and death sometimes. And that's why the Bible said that God will judge us more in whatever that we do. I'm going to stop here. I know you guys are really excited. I'm going to stop here now. Then on Sunday, we are going to jump into the very first parable, the parable of the sower. And you're going to see it from a different perspective on Sunday. We're going to do that on Sunday. On Wednesday, we're going to be back here again. So what we'll do, I've given you guys the charts. Please start reading them. Start discussing them. You can use them for Bible talk. Start discussing them for your devotional. Start discussing them. They are beautiful in every way. So there are 24 parables that we're going to be extracting. Some of them we're going to combine it because some of them are really, really short. And some of them are just like a repetition. We're going to combine some of them. And some of you here will teach some of these classes either midweek. I can't wait to see some of you who teach it on Sunday. Believe you me, you will teach. We're going to help you to begin to explore some of this stuff. So on this note, thank you for coming. It's been a wonderful time, all of us, both from Ikeja and also for Ojodu, Ishedimowe, and whoever that is joining from anywhere around the world. So I'm going to hand over. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Adesanya right now, who's going to quickly tell us what we're going to do next. And please, let's see on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, give me a second. Thank you, Emmanuel, for that. And thanks to everybody that have contributed to the parables of Proverbs, I shall call it, several languages coming up today. I still remember the aqua, and I think it was Mrs. Aqua Olade they were talking about. But it was something different. It's always exciting to learn, from Jesus and to learn Emmanuel doing exposition for us, the better understanding of what the Bible, is talking about. And as I said, we'll continue next Sunday, and we'll still come back here on Wednesday next week to continue, with so many other learnings. So at this time, I will hand over to Dr. Olutobi. He's going to be taking us on the